Man, what a difference 24 hours makes. Yesterday I was out here in long sleeves, and today I'm back to the regular old game, baby. Tank top, you know what I'm saying? That's where I'm the most comfortable. But I gotta start some seeds today. We're gonna start some onion seeds. I'm gonna plant some spinach. I'm gonna check on the chickens that are doing the clearing, and I'm gonna kind of tell you what my plan is for that and why I've decided to skip around the way I have. And it's all about weed control. Weed control is super important, especially this time of year. This is the time of year for weed control. Trust me, if you have a big problem, and you know, most of us do, now is when you want to get on top of it. Started this tray of, well, this 3/4 of a tray of onion seeds about a week ago, and you can see they're starting to pop up. And I was waiting to get more seeds, and then lo and behold, bam, I found some. Now, onion seeds are a little tricky. They don't really last more than a year. So if you have old seeds, it's better off just to get rid of them. You may be able to squeeze a couple out the next year, but you would really want to sow them pretty heavy. And I have these seeds here that I bought last year, and to be honest, I forgot I had them because I got mad at them. Seems kind of stupid, right? But it is my own fault. I bought these and I didn't realize that they had changed the weight of the seeds. Like, the weight is how much they put into a packet. They don't count individual seeds, they just take a weight. And I didn't read it correctly, and it was 820 milligrams of seeds instead of grams. So I kind of got a little upset, and it was basically my fault. It wasn't anything against the company that I didn't read it correctly, and I got way less seeds. Either way, I double checked them, and they are for 2023. So they were packed in 2023 to be grown in 2023. It is still 2023, and this is going to be our onions for 2023. And I'm done saying 2023. These seeds since, I don't know, roughly probably January or so. I had to get some more in an emergency situation, and clearly we didn't use them, but they are still a little old. That being said, we're gonna sow these a little heavy, which I like to do anyways, because when you go to separate onions, they're really easy to separate. They don't damage the roots. I mean, you could put, essentially in one of these itty bitty cells, I could put probably 15 seeds in there, I bet, and still be able to separate them into individual plants if I needed to. Which is good, means you can save space. And a lot of people, what they'll do is they'll just take like a solo cup and dump a pack of seeds in and grow them. We don't want to do that, but that is something you can do. Got about, 1,200 micrograms of seeds in here, if you want to break it down by weight. If you haven't seen the channel before, I top dress everything with perlite and then just water it deeply and let it grow, essentially. Now, it is not exactly the best that I have, essentially half grown and half not grown, but it is what it is. And what we'll do is, once these get probably 6 inches tall, we're gonna trim them down, and I'll go over this in future videos just to kind of build up more strength within the roots of the onions. But they're still very young and they're growing and getting going, so it's not really that, we don't do it just yet, but once it starts getting bigger and they look nice and strong, then we'll do it. And you'll see over time, especially if you're following the channel, how much they plumpen up and get thicker, the greens will, and that's essentially what you want. Some of you watching this channel were nice enough to pre-order some seeds from us, or some seedlings, which I definitely appreciate. And these are not the ones that I am going to sell at all, because they are a little bit of an older seed. So I'm just gonna take those, and those are gonna be mine. I'm doing them a little bit earlier than normal. I don't even have a garden bed to put them in. At this point, we have to build a garden bed to plant them. But we'll get those in the ground and get those moving. That I have ordered some fresh seeds that will be stronger and more eager to grow, because the way that we do it is each cell, we try to put 3 to 5 seeds in, and then we sell them by 6-pack. But since they're so easy to break out, in a 6-pack, you're probably gonna get 18 to 20 onions in it. And that really helps with, space for you and me and all the way around. And we had to do a pre-sale this year because I sold like 2,000 onion seedlings last year. So we're gonna try and keep that up, but the fresh onions that come, we're gonna start those separately and keep those going. And we're gonna just keep sowing them throughout the winter constantly, and then just kind of getting them out to people as soon as they get ready. Now those onions, when they're done, they're gonna go in this new bed right here, where we're gonna put garlic in the back row, so we're planting garlic soon. That means we're gonna be building this bed soon. I'm putting it off as long as possible, but I'm getting to a point where I can't put it off. And then in front of it is where the onions are gonna go. Remember, last year we did it the other way, where the garlic was in the front and the onions were in the back, and then the onions just got shaded out. And we don't wanna do that. But what I do wanna try and do, I'm gonna attempt to do it, is get the onions in the ground earlier so they can get more established in the ground and see how that helps production. We'll see how it all shakes out in the long run. We just ran out of onions, and we got a lot of onions last year, but they weren't huge because of the fact that they were starving for light. It's always something, isn't it? Always. But we got those going, and now the whole trick with those is just keep them nice and watered, set them in, I got them in a semi-sunny space for now, and until that second set of those pop, then we'll move those into a full sun situation. But we've got to really stay on top of watering them, especially because right now we're dry. We got a bunch of rain from the hurricane or the tropical storm, and then we haven't had a drop since. That's how it goes. It's feast or famine. That's the way of the world these days. But we're gonna plant some spinach, and I have been planting Sun Angel spinach, and we are now switching over to Bloomsdale long-standing spinach. And now in the greenhouse, we put the Sun Angel spinach in the ground because it's a more heat-tolerant variety, and the greenhouse is going to be a lot warmer right now. So in theory, they should perform a little bit better in here considering the heat and the temperature swings that are going to occur in here. Now it is that time of year. It is yo-yo season, or the heartbreak season, zone, whatever you want to call it. And what that means, if you're new, is yo-yo season it'll be 85 and then 55, 85, 55, 75, 45, 45, 85. It just goes like this, yo-yo all the time. And the heartbreak portion of it means you think you're gonna get warm, you're gonna stay warm, then you get cold. And then you think you're gonna be cold and you stay cold, just perfect for fall weather, and then bam, it gets hot all of a sudden. So we've got to kind of manage all that. Now we've got our bed over here that I'll show you, and I cleared it out yesterday. And in this bed, this is the one that we have carrots, and then we had bush lima beans growing, which I wasn't really happy with. So I wasn't upset to pull them out. Bed, we've got the carrots in the back half, and they're coming up. Now they're getting full sun, so they should really start to take off. And then over here, we've got our piles of lima beans that we got, and we've got a couple on here, so I need to go through and just pull whatever off. They were really starting to produce a lot though. So this is my first year growing lima beans of any capacity, and I was assuming that it would be like a bush bean, like a bush green bean, where they don't really take long to really activate and start growing. But it turns out that it's not like that. It's kind of, from what I see, I didn't give them enough time, but I believe it's gonna be like my black-eyed peas, where they just kind of, they're slow to get going. And then once they get going, they really push, but we didn't let it go long enough. And I didn't really plan to let it go anyways. It was just basically a space filler. I do believe with the issues I had with my green beans this year on this trellis, I probably, and I will do this in the future, if I'm having issues, then I'll come back and then I will replant bush beans to kind of counteract whatever issue I may be having. This year was the mosaic virus, pretty sure that's what it was. And the bush beans, we would separate those completely in a different bed and then just be able to move forward. But you live and learn, you know what I mean? Now I'm excited because I got this cedar last year, and I did a video about it, and I used it a couple times, and then I didn't really need it for the summer. But now we're back into using it, and I'm excited to really get a handle on how it's gonna be, how much it's gonna lay the seed down and the spacing and stuff like that. So we can get a good idea moving forward what to expect, and then that'll include what we need to order from our seed orders. So there you go. There's the cedar. I do like this thing. I'm here to tell you. I used it a little bit, and I've been using it again this season, and I do like it. It's laying straight rows. They're not spaced perfectly, but again, we're still figuring it out because the seeds for summer are too big to go in. So this is really a fall, spring, winter seeder for our area. And moving forward, we're just gonna see how it goes. But I am liking it, and so far so good. With the spinach, it's gonna lay it a little close, but then that'll give us time to kind of move it, and then we'll have room to thin. I'd rather have too much in the ground than not enough, that's for sure. Now, once again, we're using a seed that's probably about 2 years old, so we're just gonna use them all. Hopefully, this will be enough to go in. We've got the correct spacer in, which means the seed fits in perfectly, and we'll be able to tell once it starts germinating how much it, or how far it spreads. As of right now, once you get it in the ground, you can't tell. This is made by Varamoose, I believe. It's in the Amazon link below. You can find it, and there's all kinds of products in there that we use and have used and tested and know that we like. But when you put it in, and if you do decide to get this, remember, you drag this backwards in order to put it in. So just be aware of that. Don't push it forward because you'll clog the seed dispenser up. Pretty straightforward to use. I like to run it on either side of the drip line. So I'll start up front, and as long as the wheels are turning, when you do it, you know it's dropping seed. That's one thing that I've learned about this. And it automatically digs your furrow. So you don't really have to worry about that too much. And I just come back around, and we'll do 2 rows on each drip line on either side. And when you're first doing it, it's kind of difficult to tell if it's laying seed. It's a little bit nerve-wracking because you just can't tell. But by the time you get through it, you'll see that it is in fact dropping seed because there'll be less seeds in the actual chamber itself. Ended up going over the rows twice on that just because I wasn't sure. And then as I got through, I realized that I had actually double seeded. So whatever comes up, we're gonna divide that by 50% to see how it goes. And I just need to be more confident in it. And that's a big part about this sometimes, just being confident in what you're doing and knowing that like it's okay if you're not sure, and give yourself some grace. It's just really important to have a little bit of grace when you do this stuff. And it's all a learning process. You know, none of us are experts right out the gate, and I don't think we ever become experts personally. I think we get better, but I don't think we actually become experts. So there's that. Now, as I said earlier, we were doing the chickens, and I just want to show you what they did in this one spot in 1 week's time. So here's where they were. You can see nice and bare, and then right next to it where it wasn't. So there's plenty for them to chew on, and we'll get them over there, but I wanted to let these zinnias kind of fall, and the chance that maybe they would seed themselves, I don't know, just kind of give them an opportunity to do so, and then we'll move it over. We've moved them somewhere else for now. We've moved them actually back here where you see them because we had a bunch of weeds going to seed, and they've been on here just for the morning. This is their first day there, and you can see they've already scratched it up and essentially immediately eliminated any seeds that would fall right here. So that's good. Now right up, I left a little gap so I could get in there if I needed to, but this will help. You know, this will definitely seed into the garden, but we're gonna pull that up as well. And this is really the time of year to do that. If you have seeds and weeds that are out of control, because the weeds drop the seeds, and if they're out of control, you gotta kill them and you gotta stay on top of them. And right now, a lot of plants are going through their last ditch effort to survive and carry on their lineage into the next season. So this is a great time to get stuff up. So if it's going to seed, get it out of there. And it's already gonna have some seed in the bottom that's hit the ground, and you just wait for it to germinate and get it back up. You can smother it, cover it, pull it, spray it, whatever you want to do. But this is the time to do it. We choose to let the chickens do it so they get a little bit more in their diet. and they can retill, because we are going to in fact use that area to plant some of these seeds and wildflowers and stuff. So it's just like, it's a perfect time of year for it. It's not hot, so you can get out there and work on it. You can make it happen. The best thing to do is just do it piece by piece. I mean, every single weed you remove makes it that much better. And we're hoping that by getting those under control, that will really work in our weed bank for what falls inside of our garden and spreads the weeds, because that's how the weeds get there. We've eliminated them in the garden, but then the seeds fall from the weeds outside, and then you're just back to square one. But we're gonna try and stay on top of it. And that's why I moved them over at the gap, because it's more important to me for them to clear that out than something that doesn't really matter, because everything else we're gonna let them just go to town on. But that area we really wanted to clear. Oh gosh, I don't know if that was a bee or a fly, I couldn't tell. But that whole area over there we're gonna do, and I'm gonna do another video about that in case you do have chickens and you wanna use it, about how to encourage them to go into these areas, and you know, how long, what to expect, how long, stuff like that. And I mean, we could have it cleared out in 2 days if we wanted, but we're taking the slow route. We've got plenty of time. We've got all fall and all winter to get these things done. So there's no rush, and that's really what we wanted to do, because when we rush, we make mistakes.